Midnight Terror. The mysterious taxi driver at 1 a.m. A chilling urban horror story. The neon lights of the city cast a sickly glow on the rain-slicked streets as Mia stumbled out of the club. It was 1 a.m., and she was exhausted. The night had been a blur of music, laughter, and drinks. She pulled out her phone, grimacing at the sight of her cracked screen, and hailed a taxi. A yellow cab pulled up almost instantly. The driver, a middle-aged man with a gaunt face and deep-set eyes, smiled at her through the rearview mirror. "Where to?" he asked in a voice that sent a shiver down her spine. Mia gave him her address, feeling an uneasy knot form in her stomach. As they drove off, she noticed how empty the streets were, an eerie silence hanging over the city. The driver didn't turn on the radio, and the only sound was the rhythmic swipe of the windshield wipers. "Long night?" the driver asked, breaking the silence. Mia nodded, not really in the mood for small talk. She glanced at his ID on the dashboard. The name was smudged and unreadable. The driver's eyes met hers in the mirror. "You know, you shouldn't be out alone at this hour. The city can be dangerous," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mia forced a laugh. "I know, but sometimes you just need a night out, right?" She replied, trying to sound casual. The driver's gaze lingered on her a moment too long before he turned his attention back to the road. They drove through a part of town Mia didn't recognize. The buildings were derelict, and the streetlights flickered ominously. She checked her phone for a signal, but it was dead. "Are you sure this is the right way?" she asked, her voice tinged with anxiety. The driver didn't answer immediately. "Shortcut," he said finally. "Gets you home quicker." His tone was flat, almost mechanical. Mia's unease grew. She glanced out the window, realizing they were in an industrial area, far from the city center. The sense of dread in her gut intensified. "Can you please take the main roads?" she requested, trying to keep her voice steady. The driver's eyes met hers again in the mirror, and this time they were filled with something dark, almost predatory. "Relax," he said softly. "We're almost there." The taxi turned down a narrow alley, and Mia's heart raced. The alley was dark, with shadows that seemed to move and shift. She reached for the door handle, but the child lock was engaged. Panic set in. "Let me out," she demanded, her voice shaking. The driver ignored her, his expression unreadable. The taxi stopped suddenly, and the driver turned around to face her fully. "You should have listened to me," he said coldly. Before Mia could react, the driver lunged at her, his hands wrapping around her throat. She struggled, kicking and clawing at him, but he was strong. The world started to blur around her, and she felt her consciousness slipping away. Just as she thought it was over, there was a loud bang from outside. The driver's grip loosened, and he turned to see a figure standing in the alley, wielding a metal pipe. The figure swung the pipe, striking the driver's head with a sickening thud. The driver slumped forward, and Mia gasped for air, her vision clearing. The figure, a young man, opened the door and pulled her out. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice urgent. Mia nodded weakly, still in shock. "We need to get out of here," the man said, helping her to her feet. They ran out of the alley and onto the main street, where the city lights seemed a little brighter. They found a police station a few blocks away and reported the incident. The officers took their statements and assured them they would investigate. Mia learned that the man who saved her, Alex, had been following the taxi because he'd noticed something off about the driver. In the days that followed, the police discovered that the taxi driver was a wanted criminal with a history of abductions. Mia couldn't shake the feeling of how close she had come to being another one of his victims. Though grateful to be alive, she was haunted by nightmares of that night. The driver's cold eyes and sinister smile stayed with her, a reminder of the thin line between safety and danger in the city. Alex and Mia became friends after the ordeal, finding solace in each other's company. They shared their fears and hopes, slowly helping each other heal from the traumatic night. But every time Mia saw a yellow taxi, her heart would race, and she would remember the terrifying ride with the mysterious driver at 1 a.m. It was a night that changed her forever, a chilling reminder of the darkness lurking in the city's shadows.